All right, we're on the record.
Cool.
Council agenda, Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, Township Council agenda meeting of July 10th, 2018.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Law by filing the notice in the office of the Township Clerk, and by posting the meeting notice on the bulletin board at the municipal building and on the municipal website on December 20th, 2017, where it has remained posted since that date. A legal notice appeared in the Daily Record and the Newark Star Ledger on December 27, 2017, and was forwarded by fax to other local newspapers on December 20th, 2017. Council meetings are videotaped and aired on Public Access Channel 21 at 7 p.m. Sundays and Wednesdays, and are also available for viewing at www.parsippany.net.
Thank you. If we could all rise for our flag salute. If I could ask our scouts to come up and lead us.
That's awesome.
All right, go ahead. On you guys.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Roll call.
Across the table. Mr. DePiero,
Here.
Ms. Grignani,
Present.
Ms. McCarthy,
Here.
Ms. Peterson,
Here.
Mr. Carriffy.
Here.
Also in attendance are Business Administrator Ellen Sandman, Township Attorney Jim Lott, CFO Ann Cucci, Township Clerk Colette Madden, Council President. We have a quorum. You may begin.
Thank you. Upcoming meetings, July 24th, 2018 at 7:30 p.m. regular meeting, and I believe we have a typo in there. That's should be August 7th, 2018 at 7:30 p.m. agenda meeting.
August 7th. Okay, it's
Seventh,
not the
Tuesday.
8th.
Right.
Good.
The 8th is the concert.
Concert.
So that, very good. Thank you.
Okay. Approval of minutes. Agenda meeting March 20th, 2018. Agenda meeting April 3rd. Agenda meeting May 1st. Regular meeting May 15th. Agenda meeting June 13th. Regular meeting June 19th. Presentation, reports, Township Council. Any council members?
I have a couple of things, if I may.
Go ahead.
New road between Route 80 and Route 46. I know we can't get that fixed. The county claims it's a county road, and the county claims it's a state road because the state has right-of-way so many feet from Route 80, and they also own the park and ride. So they're bickering back and forth. In the meantime, the Parsippany residents are trying to avoid potholes on that section, and they're veering into other lanes trying to avoid the potholes, which makes for a dangerous situation for our residents. I would like to recommend that the township fix that section and send the bill to the state and to the county. And we'll put our lawyer to work over there to say how we're going to do this.
Okay, I'll figure that one out.
I have one more thing, if I may.
Go ahead.
A resident was complaining to me about property maintenance. So I said, well, where? What's the address? He says, well, it's all over. I said, well, I can't send in a complaint that's all over. So he insisted on taking me for a car ride.
I'm glad you made it back, Mike.
But he's showing me properties that are state properties, like over the Route 80 where people drop things, state property. And some of it is county property, and some of it's township property, and some of them are homes. It's a whole slew of things. He took me all over. I maintain my property, why can't everybody else maintain theirs? Or why can't the town maintain theirs? Well, and he showed me, he's had Xeroxed property maintenance ordinances from other towns. We have our own property maintenance code. People can debate on how well it's enforced, but we do have a property maintenance ordinance. So I'm looking at this thing for a whole week now. I'm trying to figure out which department do I give it to. It's all over the place. So I'm going to do the easy thing, and I'm going to pass it along to Ellen. and
I accept it with great
and see what she can do with it, because it's everything.
Yeah. And speaking of that, I know I had been talking to a resident a few months back in reference to the same thing. There was bags of garbage and stuff that were along 202 and the Route 80 entrance ramp area. And I know Greg Snyder had told me that, they had reported it to the county. It was still there. He sent his people out there to clean it up because it wasn't getting cleaned up any other way. So the problem is if people keep doing it, then...
Well, years ago, when Frank Troy was the mayor, he had garbage pails, big blue garbage pails, by the exit ramp from 80 onto South Everett Road and other strategic points all over town. He had garbage barrels that some people would actually throw it into the garbage barrels and not on the road. And then some administrations after that decided it was too much work and they took them away. Maybe we should consider doing that again to help that situation.
Okay. Township Attorney?
Oh, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
At the last council meeting, a list was distributed that claimed to show there was about $500,000 in salaries and positions that disingenuously they were described as added in 2018, primarily in the mayor's office. The increase in the mayor's office in 2018 is $42,511, mostly for part-time staff. They aren't eligible for health and pension benefits. As a side note, the mayor's action staff has responded to about 450 resident issues year-to-date. 300 have been resolved in 2018, compared with 200 resident issues for all of 2017. In addition, one of the staff speaks Hindi, which has been a help. $90,000 on the list is not paid by the municipality. $178,000 total salaries replace existing positions, and $85,000 relates to a position added in the recreation department, which is a hire at the mayor's discretion after evaluating the department goals. And a list of accomplishments by the new director was provided by the mayor's office, one being an additional $13,000 that he raised for the summer concerts. Finally, there was an $81,000 addition error in the $500,000 list. So $127,511 is the correct amount, not $500,000.
Thank you. I will note on that in reference to the one employee in the parks. I was advised that he has been on a fundraising mission and he's approaching close to $20,000
Great.
for the concerts that he has been able to acquire in donations. So, and we're only halfway through the year. Anybody else? Okay, Township Attorney, still on?
I have no report, but I'll speak to Ms. Sandman about getting a bill out to the appropriate
Yes.
agencies.
Business Administrator, Mr. Sandman?
I have some very good news to report with regard to, speaking of funding, and, this is our budget season. We're hoping next year, or before the end of this year, it will be starting a lot earlier. But in reference to some of the items that are on this agenda, now this is the agenda that there's not much action taken, but there is a community development block grant project. Just so you know, there's 39 municipalities, and 38 of them get their community development block grant monies through the county. We, because of our size and scope, get the funding directly and have to disseminate it. So this year we received $241,000 of funding for various community development block grants projects throughout the community. The main one this year is going to be 175,000 of it will be for the community center, the senior center at the Knoll Road improvements. It'll improve the paving and expanding the parking lot. We've got replacement of cracked skylights and safety improvements at the building entrance, including new sidewalks and interior renovations for additional seating, and there's a little bit of contingency funding should we have some additional work that we can do under the 175,000. So at the next meeting, the council is going to accept that, but it's nice to know what the breakdown is, and it's still a tremendous amount of funding that comes from another source. $46,000 will be improvements for a group home at 339 North Beverwick Road, which will include a new roof, drainage improvements, outside common area improvements, and then to help us augment our personnel, $20,000 of it does go into the general program administration, so that helps with that. So that resolution, what I'm going to make sure is that prior to the meeting, we give you the breakdown, which just didn't get into the agenda, and just, but I wanted to let you know, Mike Hardy in purchasing, in concert with Julie, does that big heavy lift, but it's a tremendous boom to the municipality. The other things I'd just like to say, I've talked about it during the budget, but it's nice to talk about it when it's done and when you actually receive the funding. As you know, we worked a long-time project that Joe Beckmeyer, our sewer superintendent, noticed that there was some gallonage coming through our sewer plant that was from Denville. I had nothing to do with it, although I am from Denville. Mine goes in another direction. Anyway, to date, and Ann can attest to it, I did give her a check for $136,000 that we received as soon as the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed. Denville came through and paid us for back usage of utilizing our sewer plant. That being said, the other additional fundings is we now are going through, and again, this is a Joe Beckmeyer thing, and working in concert with him, I can attest to, and working with Ann, that we used to have to, because of the breakdown in that system, good couple of years ago now, we had to pay every year about $146,000 just to Morris Township, and additional every year, $50,000 to Morris Plains. So that is approximately $200,000 that we no longer will be paying out of the sewer. So that will stay in and build up our surplus there. So it's all work. It doesn't just happen, but as luck would have it and hard work would have it, that money now is coming through to us. On another note, so we're talking about $350,000, and why is it more than if you add 200 and 136? Isn't that 336? Well, the gallonage, there was a difference in what we had to pay Morris Township, and now we won't be paying that difference. Mm-hmm. And the Denville people who will be using our system now will be paying for the sewer on a continuous basis. So we're talking about an influx of $350,000 for 2019, which is great. We also pursue funding, and again, I went with Mike Hardy to the Historical Society, the historical grants folks from the county, and we did receive for the Smith Baldwin House $258,064 for the second phase of the Smith Baldwin House. In concert with that, because prior to us going in, Vonda from Craftman Farms was going in, and because of the largesse of the community here funding through our open space, helping Craftman Farms, and showing goodwill that they, money added to money makes a bigger project happen. They received $355,000. So every, hand, holding on to the next hand helps. And so that's a tremendous amount of funding that we received in Parsippany, the $355,000, and then our own $258,000. So it was a pretty good month.
Good. Thank you.
Ellen,
Yes.
if I may
Yes.
ask, the community center, has any thought been given to the generator, a new generator being put in there?
Yes.
And
Yes.
is that part of the
Well-
175?
It isn't, but it's working from some other source. We definitely are doing that. The one that was, yes, it's a sidebar, but yes, that is a very important thing, and yes, there will be a generator there where there should have been, the generator should have never been moved.
Okay,
So
thank
we'll,
you.
we'll be making sure. I'm glad you interrupted me, because one other thing I want to let you know, I have a fellow by the name of Saf who's a phenomenal assistant during the summer months, and he has put together, you've heard of Gov Deals, a list. There, and I think, Khaled, did they add the 2 other charges to that list that the council has?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. This is a list of all, it could be it is vehicles, it's computers, and it's umpteen things. I will be reporting probably the end of August how much money we did receive on. The beauty of Gov Deals is they pay us the full amount of whatever it is. The difference that the company needs to make is paid by the person buying the product. So it's a wonderful opportunity. So I will be reporting back, and I wanted to thank Saf for doing his due diligence and putting all these and getting all the VIN numbers and all the rest of it goes. It's not an easy lift, but it's a tremendous, again, boom to the police department cleans out, that gets rid of cars and vehicles that are no longer required. But we make money on it. It cleans up, and it has to be taken by them. We don't have to really lift a finger, except, cross those Ts and dot the Is. So, again, that's a very positive thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Township Clerk?
No report at this time. Thank you.
Offices, committees?
I have a report from the library. The Teen Advisory Board planned and organized a World Cup soccer program at the library today. Children and fellow teens viewed today's semifinals, played games, and participated in a soccer-themed craft. Parsippany is home to the most creative teens. The Parsippany libraries are supporting the schools by offering copies of the summer reading list books that students can borrow. Books are available in print format, but many titles are also available as ebooks. We encourage families to visit the library and to keep reading. Young children are invited to attend children's programs presented by special performers. These summer programs are paid for with donations from ADP and the Friends of the Library. Thank you.
Thank you. Engineering report, nothing. Bids taken, June 21st, 2018, Police Off-Duty Detail Management System for the Police Department, and June 21st, 2018, WWTP generator improvements. To be taken, July 12th, 2018, Grafton Park improvements, and July 31st, 2018, lease of public property. Quotations, proposals, qualifications, none. Public hearing. At this time, I entertain a motion to open up the public hearing.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. DePiero, seconded by Mrs. Grignani. Roll call, Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Ms. Grignani,
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy.
Yes.
Floor is now open to the public. Please sign in and state your name before you speak. Thank you.
And you'll be given 5 minutes.
Hi, my name is Bob Venezia. I live at 102 Brooklawn Drive. During the Water Department budget presentation that occurred on June the 1st, the superintendent mentioned that an extra 40 million gallons of water had to be purchased from Jersey City in order to compensate for the shutdown of one of our wells. I regard the loss of a well as a serious matter and would like you to relieve my concern by answering a couple of questions. One, during his presentation, the superintendent stated that the well is offline indefinitely. At this time, do you have a better estimate for when service might resume? Two, what is the cause of the well being offline? It can't be equipment related because equipment can be replaced fairly easily and quickly. Is the well dry? Is it at a dangerously low level? Is it contaminated, or is there some other reason why it's offline? 3, is it possible that this problem could spread to other wells in our system? And lastly, what is your collective level of concern regarding the well shutdown and the current state of Parsippany's water supply in general? Thank you.
In answer to your question, prior to my going on vacation last week, I met with John Walker, who is the water superintendent, and he gave me 3 locations where they're going to be drilling to see if they can pursue another well. I asked him straight out, what were the reasons why these locations were picked, and they were done with the scientific study that they should produce water. In answer to your question on the other well that is shut down, it is rather dry and shallow. So that was the answer that we were given. So we are working. We also have done a water. What was it? Like a whole water review of where to drill and produce the water. So we'll give you a report early in September to see how successful we are with the 3 locations that we have on target to drill.
So I take it that there's nothing to be worried about. There's these things,
I do get my tea in Starbucks, but when I finish it, I do make my tea here and I drink it. So I'm not trying to be facetious. I'm just trying to say life is, there's nothing that, and John is, you can't meet a more dedicated public servant than John, and he would not risk anything. Plus, we do get the 2 water reports. The 2 water reports is that we get the water report for us and the water report from the county, because some of the water also does come from the county. And outside of a little salt, so don't add, and we did put that in one of the things, please don't add additional salt to your spaghetti.
Our water is tested as, it meets EPA and state regulations. It is tested often. The water is well within any safety codes that they have. And it's looked at almost weekly, daily. It's at least weekly that they check every well, every supply in the township. The other thing you mentioned about buying water, the state required that Parsippany have an alternate water source many years ago, maybe 18, 19 years ago.
Yes.
They required this. So we had to go into a contract with Jersey City so that we had the alternate water source that they mandated. We have a commitment to buy, I think it's 100 million gallons a year,
That's correct.
and we have to pay them for that whether we use the water or not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's not money wasted per se for using that water for the wells that are closed down. We have to use it anyway.
But my understanding was that this 40 million gallons was on top of the 100 million gallons that we already use. So it was like a total of 140. That's why we incurred an extra charge.
Well, that simply means that they've already drawn the 100 million gallons that we're supposed to pay for.
Yeah, I believe that is correct. You are stating it correctly. It was an additional 40.
If they hadn't drawn the 100 million gallons yet, they could have just used that 40 million as a part of the 100 million.
And in terms of our collective concern, if the issue is that it's dry, it's not contagious between other wells, and I hear your concern. At the budget hearing, I specifically asked them if the wells are dry, do we have a concern that we are going to at some point run out of water? And we were assured at that meeting that that's not the case at all,
Not the
because
case,
it's an
no.
isolated incident. And until we hear otherwise, we sort of have to trust that.
Don't all these wells tap into the same aquifer?
I don't believe so.
I don't know.
Aquifers, there are some aquifers that are different depths than others. Our main aquifer is 600 feet deep, but they're not all that deep. They're different depths. So where you tap in is a function of the topography on the ground.
Okay,
All right.
thank you,
Thank you.
unless there's, anybody else has anything to say?
Nope.
This is my new friend who I met, and he's never spoken before, so please be kind. But you'll find that he's a great public speaker. No pressure.
I was going to say.
I know.
You just added pressure to the young man.
No, you'll be fine. And I believe you have a great supporter standing right next to you.
Yeah, okay. My name is Armando Rivas, my wife Cecilia, and we have a house in 20 Buena Road here in Parsippany. I moved there since 1984, and because of my job, we moved to North Carolina, but we're planning to come back. All our kids and grandkids are here. The reason of this is because our street is the only street that doesn't have a gas line. And we would like to see if the town can help us to get a gas line in our street. I've been calling the gas company for more than 2 years, and it's Mr. Michael, I cannot remember his last name, and he always, when he answers the phone, he says he's going to call me back, which he never did. So I don't know where to go to, whoever, not to help us.
What street do you live on?
20 Buena Road,
Buena Road. You're not-
Buena.
You're not the only street in town, I guarantee it.
Oh,
I had a good friend that lived in Lake Hiawatha on Maple Lane,
Yeah.
and they don't have a gas line on their street. And the gas company has told them that if they get a commitment of more than 50% of the residents on the street that are going to tie into it, then the gas company will put in the line. Otherwise, it's not economical for them to do it. And if he wanted the gas line run just up to his house, he would have to pay the cost for
Yeah.
the whole thing.
There are only three or four houses.
yeah, we're just 4 houses there, and 3 of us are willing to do it.
Are they aware of that?
Yes.
They are.
Yeah, I talked to them, and they say they are willing to switch.
Okay. How close is the gas line, the street that's closest to you that presently has gas?
Okay,
Is that close?
Buena Road is just 1 block, and the adjacent lines.
Right, so
streets-
it is close.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
Well, if you divide the cost by 3 homes, it may be within your reach, as opposed to my friend who would have to bear the full cost to run it up to his house.
We have a liaison, Mike, to public service, just like we have with, the gas company. So I'll reach
Maybe we
out
can
to
have-
the,
you can have somebody
the liaison.
contact that liaison for you
Yeah.
and see
Sorry
if
to
there's
interrupt.
something we could do for you.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Good job.
You're next.
But it's all about the economics, Mike. You're
Hello.
right. It's all about the economics.
Yeah.
Okay, can I talk first and after that we'll sign? It's
Yes, you
probably
may.
gonna be faster.
Yes.
My name is Sam Lapkowski. I live in Parsippany and in Northfield Road. And last Friday I got a bill, new tax bill for the 3rd quarter, and it's a surprise. It's like, first of all, I have a question. What's the reason for such a huge increase? It's increase, in my case, for the 1 quarter, it's gonna be like $156. Normally, it's like something like between $50, $70.
Speak
How
closer
it
to the
was
mic, sir.
before.
Speak closer to the mic, or bring it to you. There you go. That's fine. That's fine.
Okay, can I do? all
That's
right,
better, much
Thank you.
better.
Okay, should I repeat the question?
No, the question basically
Right,
was
we know.
why. Go ahead. Repeat the
Yes.
question just for those
Okay,
in the
the
back.
question was about increase, such a huge increase for the tax, which I got for the new fiscal year 2018. And it's in my case, increase just for the 1 quarter is $156. If you're gonna calculate it for the whole year, it's gonna be roughly $600.
Okay.
Wait a second,
Yeah.
second question.
Go ahead.
You wanna,
No, go ahead.
You have an answer?
Ask all your
Okay.
questions first, and then we're going to answer for you.
okay. my question is it like one-time deal, or is it going to be like next quarter? Next quarter is going to be like each one
No.
$150.
Okay, well, go ahead. Well,
It's all
wait,
gonna
no,
be-
let's
it's-
let's
yeah.
wait till he's done. Do
Okay,
you have any
I-
other questions, or is that it?
Yeah, I do have.
Okay, go ahead.
And I would like to have like written version of the reason of such a big increase. What is going on? Because I don't know what is going on. And probably many people who live in Parsippany in the same situation like me. And I would like to know, it's like my last question. My last question is, no, because these gentlemen ask me all the time, is it, okay, what's the next, what's the next? This is the last one. How many households in Parsippany total? Because based on my simple calculation, it's like for each quarter, I got information from Wikipedia online, but it's like from the 2010 actual information. It's like in Parsippany we have more than 21,000 households. Based on simple calculation, it's going to be for the 1 quarter, town will have like $3 million. For the year, almost 12.
Okay.
It's my last question.
Okay. I'm just gonna start, and I'm gonna have Mrs. Cucci explain to you about this, what's going on with that. I will tell you this, that we, the governing body here, is only responsible for 21.32% of your tax bill. Okay, the school board is responsible for 65% of your taxes. So we only control less than a quarter of your taxes, okay? We're only 21.32%. I'll let Mrs. Cucci explain.
But wait a second, I got from the township. I didn't got like this
Right,
quarter.
that bill,
this
right, that
three
bill
quarters.
you, that bill that you got is in, okay, and she's gonna explain to you that that's not a correct bill, okay? But that bill that you got is all of your taxes combined. It's including our 21.32%, okay? But it also includes your school taxes, your county taxes, and your state taxes, okay? She's gonna explain to you that there's those assessments that you got are not correct. She'll explain it to you.
Well, it's
Okay.
Okay.
And one more question. If it's not correct,
Well,
should I pay
can
it or not?
Let me just let me tell you the whole story. Hi.
Okay.
First of all, we bill you for all of the taxes for the count, like the chairman said, all for the county, the school, the municipal. We collect all of that. So, what happened was because of cash flow, we did an estimated bill. The estimated bill, because we didn't know what the Board of Ed was going to do, and we weren't sure what the county was going to do, and we weren't sure what the municipal budget was going to do, we estimated the entire bill to go up 5%. What you're seeing there is the entire 5%, not spread out for 4 quarters. It goes right into that 3rd quarter. However, based on we're almost done with the budget, we're looking at max of 3.5% for us. We do have the Board of Ed numbers now. You'll have a huge adjustment when you get your final bill for the 4th quarter. So, for example, if you have a $2,600 quarter bill, that's for the 2 quarters. Actually, the whole year, your bill will come down to $1,900. It's going to majorly adjust on the 4th quarter. Okay, we're hoping we're going to adopt the budget on the 24th of July. Hopefully, that's our goal. And these bills are due on August 1st with a grace period to the 10th of August. Hopefully, we can get those rates from the county all certified and everything and get those bills back out with the correct number. But you will have an adjustment on that 4th quarter. When you get the actual bills, it will be the right amount and it will not be anywhere close to what you were billed. Okay, I hope that explains it. I'm going to have I may post, maybe I'll give it on the website, how it works. I have it all written out, if that would help you. But that is not your real bill. That's just for cash flow so we could get some money into the town to continue to work.
Because this bill actually is like...
It's the whole year. It's the whole year.
No, but it's not the first time, because I'm in Parsippany like more than 18 years.
Right, I understand. It was just because we didn't know what this Board of Ed was going to do. We didn't know what the schools, what the county, so we did an estimate of 5% across the board. It will not be close to that at all.
Oh, yeah?
It will not. 3.5 for the county, for us.
Sir, if you have any further questions after the meeting, if you want to.
Yeah, you're more than happy to, I have examples of how it
She can
works.
give you
Yeah.
an a thorough
At least
explanation.
already 5 minutes?
What's that?
Did
You,
it
but
reach
you were
5
done with
minutes?
your questions. Yes, that's why I kept asking you. We're going to let you ask all your
Thank
questions.
you.
That will answer.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay. No problem.
Okay, if I sign in afterwards?
Yeah, that's fine, sir.
Okay. My name is George Kimmy. I live at 5 Crawford Road, Morris Plains. I also had a question about it, so I'm not going to go into it, except that when I did look at it, I was amazed. It was like $285.
Yeah, I realize
for
that.
one quarter above any of the highest quarters. So I'll just let that drop. The other thing I just want to bring up, which had come to the council years and years ago, and we talked about how much our school taxes are, and I realized some of this has to do with the Board of Education. But at one time, we spoke about stacking. Now, this may be something, I know it was quite a topic with the council years and years ago. Perhaps Mr. DiPiero would remember that time. As a real estate agent, I get into a lot of homes. And it's really bad to see some of these homes that have mattresses in the basement. These are for additional children that are not living here in Parsippany, but we're paying the taxes on these people. There are some situations where the parents live in Essex County. They bring the children in from Essex County on a Monday, and they pick them up on a Friday. Now, I realize that at one point, supposedly, the Board of Education said that because of legal circumstances, you cannot determine who is or who is not a resident of Parsippany. But I think that we should be trying to look into some legal aspect of trying to find out who are all these extra children. Because when you're talking about, I believe it was $22,000 per student per year, add that up with only 10 students, and you're talking $220,000. And I know there is probably much more than 10 students here in Parsippany. So I would just like to bring that up, and if anything could be done, I would appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
George, you're right, we went through this years ago. And the school board will not release any documentation regarding students. It is confidential, and they just won't do it. So there's no way you can mesh records and determine who really lives here and who doesn't.
I was just wondering what other states, perhaps, other than New Jersey.
Mr. Kimmy? I'm sorry, Mr. Kimmy? I need you, Mr. Kimmy, I'm sorry. I just need you to speak into the mic.
I was just wondering whether or not there were other states that have found some legal jurisdiction that could look into this and say, well, look, this is not really somebody you are I'm not talking about immigrants now. I'm just talking about people here that don't live in this
The school board will
town.
not release the records. So no matter what other states do, our school board will not release the records.
Okay.
Nicholas Homiak, Lake Hiawatha. I think Bob over there might have tacked on to something, because I think Parsippany's economic development is not within our natural capacity with the water. And it's a fact that we are in water deficit. And we weren't mandated to get the two sources. We had to get the two sources, Jersey City, Morris County Municipal, because Parsippany doesn't have enough water. And when I say water deficit, when we have all this development around us, we're not recharging our aquifers. Our aquifers are going away. I wonder about this subsurface sewer system. If we're going to talk about it at another meeting, I'll postpone it. But is our we don't have a separate ordinance for our sewers like other towns do. It's hidden in utilities, which, in my opinion, favors developers. And we also have the flaw about the 1/4 acre of impervious surface that can be misconstrued by developers to pave even over more land. I believe I gave you the copy of the flaw in our utility storm waters. Mr. Ken Dolsky and I were trying to promote the anti-plastic pollution, and lo and behold, Mrs. Huddle's proposal legislation was extremely flawed, and I apologize for not discovering that. But I don't know if you know that what Mr. Dolsky has brought forward, but the bill was vetoed by the governor. It's not going to take place. But right now, Parsippany has an opportunity to ban plastics on their own, to make ordinances that are even stronger. You go around, you see all this Dunkin' Donuts and this the 7-Eleven, all these plastic things. They're all over the place. It's disgusting. It's over-engineered. And who bears the cost of that? We do, when it goes in our municipal thing and it goes to the landfill. I believe our municipal sanitation bill to go to the landfill is well over $1 million, or $1.25 million. So that's all this development and the corporate convenience, and it's all passed on to the taxpayers. And the gentleman here talking about, I find it hard to believe that you could live in a town or not live in a town and send your kids to a municipality. I find that very hard to believe. I know when I got custody of my son years ago, when I was living in North Arlington, and he was going to school in Bloomfield, they gave me 30 days to move into Bloomfield, or I would have to take my son out of the school. And I find it hard to believe that the laws could have changed that much in that period of time. So I just think we're making things up. And I think we should look at the higher management in the Board of Education, these CEOs. And I didn't hear anybody complaining when we got that artificial turf, those artificial turf fields for over $4 million. All the sports fanatics were, happy. They were tossing the balls back and forth. So, if you're not going to complain about over $4 million being found in the Board of Education budget that went to it. I wonder how them turf fields are on days like today when it's almost 100 degrees. I doubt if anybody could even play on them. But I'll leave it at that. And I'm going to leave you this letter here. And I would encourage Parsippany Council to try to at least begin some type of plastic bans, because the cumulative effects of all of this is catching up to everybody. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Thanks, Nick.
Mary Przicki, Marcella Road, Parsippany. I do still have to question the fact that the two positions that were new in the, one was definitely new, and the other position, the Director of Park and Rec, supposedly went vacant for 14 years and then filled. But in this day and age, when all of us are trying to figure out how we're going to pay our bills, I think that there should really look at whether you have to hire those people or not. I mean, private industry just cuts and cuts and tells the people who work there to just make do. They even give, you want a job? Take the salary cut. And then when you look at the mayor's office and you look at the salaries that those people were given, not the part-timers, I have nothing wrong with that, but when you look at what the salaries that the people were given, they were given top of the guide salaries. And what kind of experience did they have? especially since one of them no longer works there. And I want to know, since they've been transferred to a new department, whether they're still receiving a $50,000 salary or not. And then there had to be a replacement. So is he getting $50,000 too, or not? I mean, there were complaints from the prior administration about people getting hired at Top Guide. And I mean, what were these people's experience, and should have they been gotten that Top Guide salary, or should they start it in the middle, or should they start in the beginning with their experience? So I think that's something that I think if you're looking at a budget, you should look at that. And then Parsippany, yes, does have a problem when it comes to maintenance. And Michael is right when it comes to the county. I called since February to get the storm drain that has totally collapsed on Cherry Hill Road and Grecian Road fixed. I've called the county, I've called the Mayor's Action Center, and that's one of the ones that haven't been addressed yet, okay? So look at those things. And then we get this Tivia, the pharmaceutical company coming in, okay, and we're getting all of these they're gonna get all of these big tax breaks. Do they pay Board of Education taxes or not? No. But do they use our resources? Yes. And Cherry Hill Road and Route 80, you try and get out of my street on Littleton Road at any hour of the day, and you can't. But is that ever addressed? No. You get 800 cars from UPS, and now we're going to get more from this other company, and everybody's lauding what a great deal this is. Is it a great deal for Parsippany or not? I don't think so. Not when it's going to use our services like that. So, you know, and past administrations got blamed for UPS, and now this other one comes in. Come on, it's the same old ball game. I just hope that people would realize that we are the people responsible who have to pay the taxes. And yeah, our services are going down, but not my tax bill. And I sure hope every time there was an estimated one given, I never saw it go down past $60. So I hope that figure you're going to give me is really good, because my quarter was $154 and change. And
1 minute.
1 minute. Ooh, too bad. Okay. Then the other thing of it is my marijuana issue. If you read the paper, you'd find out that California didn't get the tax revenues they wanted, and illegal sales of marijuana still exist. So hello, where are we going, the greedy government?
Mary, Ms. Przicki, I just have a quick question for you. At the beginning of your statement, you said there was 2 positions that are new.
No, I rectified that. I said there was one, the director of utilities, and the other the park and rec director was filled after 14 years of vacancy.
Okay, so you do realize the other one was a replacement?
That's what I said, but it was vacant for quite a while.
Okay.
I believe it was 14 years. I could be wrong.
No, not
the
not
recreation.
the utilities position. That wasn't vacant for 14 years.
No.
There was no such thing.
Yes, there was.
Yes, there was. Director of Utilities?
Yeah.
Yes, there was.
Mary, regarding the marijuana issue, at the end of this week, I will be sending out a petition that I hope we can get circulated to oppose distribution centers in Parsippany. I've also tried to reach out to the president so he will release medical marijuana as a federal crime. If he does that, then all of our pharmacies could fill prescriptions for medical marijuana, and we would and we would not need any additional distribution centers. So this petition is opposed to distribution centers. I know now it's only for medical marijuana, but in the near future, there's a lot of people in Trenton still pushing for recreational marijuana, and then whatever distribution centers we have, the character of them will completely change. So I'll be sending out to everybody on my email now, and hopefully it can spread from there. The petition will have 100 signatures on each petition that goes out with the proper explanation returned to me. And you're on my mailing list.
Jerry Manning, Rainbow Lakes. At the last meeting, I left with 2 questions that were unanswered relative to the budget. One question was, how much of a deficit does the town have that we had to raise the taxes so much? And if not, what additional services that are we going to receive for the additional taxes? I never got an answer. I hope I got an answer tonight. I got my new tax bill like everyone else did. And it was a lot more than the $5 that Mr. Horniak was waving around here the last month. A lot more. In fact, I'm at the point, I might have to go back to the job market. And the reason for that would be that I'm too nervous to steal. A recent publication stated that the previous administration was guilty of, are you ready for this one? Fiscal instability. I don't think there's an electrician in the state of New Jersey that, first of all, ever heard that, and if they heard it, they wouldn't understand what the hell it meant. However, our mayor thought it was a great thing because his boss in Trenton used it in his speech. So he just copied it and put it in his speech. Very crazy. The only increase in income that I received this year to cover this exorbitant tax bill is a 2% increase in my Social Security. Not on my property, but on the Social Security check that I get, which is a whole lot less. 2% of that check is not a whole lot of money. And I think just recently I came up with a possible way for seniors to live with this. Just recently it was discussed that a medical pharmaceutical company is moving into Parsippany with a 10-year tax abatement. How about this? We give a tax abatement for 10 years to seniors. How do you think that'd work? Huh? How about doing it to the residents, to hell with the people that are coming in from outside? Anyhow, I'll end my little speech tonight with a quote from one of my favorite longtime heroes, Winston Churchill. Quote, "A government who thinks it can tax itself into prosperity is like a man standing in a bucket trying to pull himself out by pulling on the handle." Thank you.
I have a question regarding that tax abatement. I read that article in the paper too. Is that strictly a state tax that's abated?
I'm not aware of it.
Can we find that out?
Sure.
I mean, the article said it's a big tax abatement for them.
I think it may be.
I assumed it was strictly state tax. They can't abate local tax, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Not without the authorization of council.
Yeah, the grant was for $39.9 million from the state. That was the grant that they gave. And then as far as, I'm not aware of any pilot, and Ann and I would be aware of a pilot, and so would Jim, so it's not, you know, there's not a pilot related to that.
Right, right. And Jerry, I believe it was for 20 years, depending, I just asked our attorney, it's for 20 years, and it's depending on the number of jobs that are created with this company that is in Parsippany, but they are bringing their main headquarters here, and we're going to be getting quite a few jobs that are going to be in Parsippany.
The number was 800. I read it in the
Yes.
article. That's what they're
Yes.
promising. With UPS, they promised about the same amount, and they wound up, it was much more than 800. It was about 1,000, 1,100 jobs. With no children, you know, there's no, they're jobs. They're not, you know, homes and. But that did have a pilot, to be honest.
UPS.
UPS did have a pilot.
Good evening, Council President and council members. I'm here tonight to bring to your attention a very serious issue making local news here in Parsippany regarding widespread public concerns. Regarding the public and social media messaging propagated by a local office holder, touting the exploitation of children, women, and religion. As elected leaders, you all know that this is unacceptable in our society. In essence, this is a form of public bullying, targeted against certain sectors of our cherished community. I have with me, for everyone's review, several Facebook posts by Frank Cahill of the Parsippany Focus, who is also
Excuse
the
me, Mr.
executive
Valori.
director
Mr. Lott,
of
does this have
Parsippany
anything to
Chambers
do
of
with town
Commerce.
business?
I don't know if it does or not. I haven't heard his.
I have here some handouts that I will give out, and I will continue on with this to explain the rest of what's going on here. Council President, I can give that to you. You can pass out. And I will also give one to the clerk, so he could print out. And then I'll explain.
God bless you. God bless.
Bless you.
Sorry.
God bless.
Thank you.
Council President, I am respectfully request our Township Administration to immediately stop all funding to the Parsippany Chamber of Commerce until Chamber officials get their house in order, and formally disaffiliate with Mr. Cahill outright. Parsippany cannot in good conscience fund an organization directly or indirectly condone this disturbing and bizarre behavior. As you can see, I passed out to you Facebook posts that were on his Facebook account that was open to the public. I'll continue on as the old adage, you become the company you keep, sadly rings true with the local Chamber of Commerce and Mr. Cahill. Therefore, no sound reason exists for the township to financially support this chamber until swift appropriate action is taken by the chamber to remove Mr. Cahill from this organization. And moving forward, I further call upon the township administration to more thoroughly inspect any and all vendors or organizations seeking township affiliation and subsidization. So an extensive vetting procedure will ensure that organizations do not engage in the same deplorable, reprehensible behavior similar to that of Mr. Cahill. So we have an obligation, if in fact we work with vendors, we want to make sure that the vendors that we are working with or doing business with are acting appropriately. We owe no less to our residents. Mr. Cahill's continuous public message sponsorship of the exploitation of children, women, and religion is unacceptable. It will not be tolerated in Parsippany. Currently, the township already performs a thorough background check on our police officers and our employees. They should be doing the same for all our vendors in the town. Until that happens, and until the Parsippany Chamber of Commerce cleans house of those who demean and bully online, I respectfully request all funding to the Chamber to cease immediately. And thank you.
See no one else come forward, entertain a motion? It's okay.
Pat Patacci, 182 Hawkins Avenue. I myself was questioning the new position at the Department of Parks and Rec. I waited for my Oprah request. I was going to ask why we were hiring at such a close to the maximum amounts, the qualifications, and how much is needed. Do we really need 3 part-time interns and 2 part-time employees in the mayor's office at this time? I agree that some of these are replacements and what have you. It's normal. What's not normal is, I agree with Mary, is that they were hired at close to the maxes, or if not a max. Okay, and to me, you know, like for instance, the one that came in as the confidential secretary. Now, I don't want to drop anything, but for God's